Dear students, this session begins from page number 31. I am proceeding from the third paragraph in page number 31. Let me read. A literary work is a document, and as a document can be analyzed in terms of the forces that have produced it, or it may be manipulated as a force in its own right. In this paragraph, Brooks is talking about a literary work. What is a literary work, basically? He says a literary work is a document. And as a document, can be analyzed in terms of the forces that have produced it. So, as we analyze a document, we can analyze a literary work based on the forces that have produced it or made it. Or it may be manipulated as a force in its own right. Manipulate. What is the meaning of manipulate? Handle or manage or use with skill. Or that document itself can have a skill to analyze itself. So either we can analyze it with the forces that have composed it, or we can analyze that document, a literary work, based on its own quality from within. It mirrors the past and it may be or it may influence the future. We should also take into consideration its impact upon the past and also upon the future. These facts would be futile to deny, and I know of no critic who does deny them. So, no critic can deny these factors related to a literary text. The factors like its association with the past and the future. Futile. What is the meaning of futile? Useless, ineffective. Now the next sentence. But the reduction of a work of literature to its causes does not constitute literary criticism. Underline that sentence. So according to the formalist critics, a work of literature is not solely an analysis of the causes that had made that particular work of literature, nor does an estimate of its effects, nor does its estimate of the effects upon the past or the future. Good literature is more than effective rhetoric applied to true ideas. Underline. So what is a good literature? Good literature is more than effective rhetoric. What is the meaning of rhetoric? Page number 36. Rhetoric means the study of the effective use of language for persuasion. The study of effective use of language for persuasion. So to give an impression to the readers, lead the readers to a desired result. That is what we mean by persuasion. Rhetoric means that quality of communication or the quality of the language used in the communication to persuade a set of readers to a desired action. So good literature is more than effective rhetoric applied to true ideas. Good literature is more than just giving a sense of the idea which it tries to impart. It is more than that. It has more other potential than that. Even if we could agree upon a philosophical yardstick for measuring the truth of ideas, and even if we could find some way that transcended nose counting for determining the effectiveness of the rhetoric. So a good literature has great visions in the creation of it. And those visions, they include within itself, within the text itself. A recent essay by Lionel Trilling bears very emphatically upon this point. So here I am proceeding to the next paragraph, and here Brooks is giving us an example of another writer, and the name of the writer is Lionel Trilling. Who is Lionel Trilling? You just look at the bottom of the page, note number 12. Lionel Trilling, 1905 to 1975, an American literary critic known for works like Liberal Imagination and Sincerity and Authenticity. So Lionel Trilling is a very famous critic. And Brooks finds an easy association with what Lionel Trilling says in his essay in connection with what Brooks talks about in this essay. So Cleanth Brooks could find an association with what Lionel Trilling says in his essay. So that is why he has brought in Lionel Trilling. A recent essay by Lionel Trilling bears very emphatically upon this point. Bears. What is the meaning of bear here? To be relevant to. So in a recent essay, Lionel Trilling has told something, and that is very relevant to what now I have spoken about. That is what is Brooks saying. I prefer to him more readily because Trilling has registered some of his objections to the critical position that I maintain. In his essay entitled The Meaning of a Literary Idea, Trilling discusses the debt to Freud and Spengler of four American writers, O'Neill, Dos Passos, Woolf and Faulkner. So now he is giving us the title of the essay he is interested to refer to. What is the title of the essay by Lionel Trilling? The Meaning of a Literary Idea. And in that, Trilling discusses about four authors. Who are the four authors? In page number 32, in the first line, you can see the names of the four authors: O'Neill, Dos Passos, Woolf and Faulkner. What does he say about these four authors? Trilling discusses the debt to Freud and Spengler of four American writers. The associations these four writers make with Freud and also Spengler. That is what is Lionel Trilling talks about in his essay, The Meaning of a Literary Idea. So naturally, we have to understand who all are these writers, and for that we have to search in the notes. And it is given very elaborately. Look at note number 13 in page number 32. Sigmund Freud. Who is Sigmund Freud? You might have heard of him. 1856 to 1939. an Austrian doctor and founder of psychoanalysis, whose theories of the unconscious profoundly influenced literary analysis. So, who is Sigmund Freud? He is basically a doctor, and he is the founder of psychoanalysis. That is a different genre in literary criticism. And he is famous for his theories of unconscious. And the theories of unconscious, it has influenced many authors in the modern era. The interpretation of dreams and Moses and monotheism stand in close relation to literary studies. So, two of his important or famous works are The Interpretation of Dreams and Moses and Monotheism. These two works are closely related with literary texts. So, that is a very brief introduction about Sigmund Freud. Another writer is Oswald Spengler, 1880 to 1936. He was a German historian and philosopher known for his The Decline of the West. So, Oswald Spengler is a historian, a German historian and also philosopher. Sigmund Freud is a psychologist, founder of psychoanalysis, and Spengler is a historian and philosopher. So, psychology, history and philosophy, they all are connected with authors of literary texts. So, the four authors that we have already discussed, these four authors, they are indebted greatly to this great psychoanalyst Sigmund Freud and also to the historian cum philosopher Oswald Spengler. Now we are going to the authors proper. Eugene O'Neill. Who was he? 1888 to 1953. Eugene O'Neill was perhaps the greatest American dramatist of the first half of the 20th century, with amazing works like The Emperor Jones, The Iceman Cometh, Morning Becomes Electra, and The Long Day's Journey into Night to his credit. So, Eugene O'Neill, he is the greatest American dramatist. Next is John Dos Passos. He was a novelist with a communist vision. Works include Manhattan Transfer, The Big Money, and The 42nd Parallel. So, Dos Passos, he is a novelist. Eugene O'Neill, he was a dramatist, American dramatist. Now we come to Thomas Clayton Wolfe. Who was he? Remembered for his inimitable mixing of poetic and impressionistic prose with elements of autobiography in his novels like Off Time and the River, Look Homeward Angel, and You Can't Go Home Again. So, novelist Thomas Clayton Wolfe. And he has a particular style of mixing of poetic and impressionistic prose with elements of autobiography. Now we move on to the next writer we have referred to, William Faulkner. His period is from 1897 to 1962. He was a master craftsman among novelists with outstanding works, including The Sound and the Fury, As I Lay Dying, and Absalom, Absalom. So these are the introductions to the 6 authors. One is Sigmund Freud, two Oswald Spengler, then Eugene O'Neill, then we have discussed John Dos Passos, then Thomas Clayton Wolfe, William Faulkner. So with this, I wind up this session also. We will continue our text in the coming sessions. Thank you.